For more on the story, we're very pleased to be joined by the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey. Betsy Skyping in tonight from New York City. Also Skyping in from Connecticut, political analyst Dick Morris. Of course, you know Dick is the co-author of Power Grab, Obama's dangerous plan for a one-party nation. Thanks to you both for spending some time with us here on Newsmax Prime. We're going to get to the back and forth between Bush and Trump in just a moment. But as we mentioned earlier, the fact is that Newsmax.com had a scoop, broke the story over the weekend that the Secret Service is protecting Donald Trump. Dr. Ben Carson, meantime, beefing up the existing detail for Hillary Clinton. Dick, were you surprised by that announcement?
No, the only thing that surprised me is that they waited until now. After the assassination of Robert Kennedy in 1968, 2 months before the Democratic National Convention, I would have thought that all candidates would receive Secret Service protection. I mean, I think Pataki should get Secret Service protection. I think that every candidate who is an announced candidate for president should have that protection, and certainly the front runners. I think Sanders should have it. Obviously, Hillary has it from being First Lady and Secretary of State. But I think that in the Republican side, Carson should have it, Cruz, Rubio, Bush, all of them.
So Dick is going on record for protection for everybody, but Betsy, to the situation involving Trump and Carson, both of them have said some things that have attracted attention and probably these threats. Is this Secret Service protection for both of them overdue?
It's certainly appropriate. And I don't know whether there are many threats we haven't heard about, but I'm glad they're being protected. I want to weigh in on the bigger issue, which is Trump's statements about 9/11, because 15 out of the 19 hijackers who took those planes and flew them into buildings and into the ground and destroyed so many lives, over 3,000 lives, they were in this country illegally. They had come to this country on tourist visas, business visas, overstayed those visas, and Donald Trump is absolutely right that until we enforce our immigration laws, we are facing that kind of threat. He is right to say what he said.
We are going to pursue that further in just a second. I would be remiss if I did not offer this programming note that Ronald Kessler, the author who's written extensively about the Secret Service, will join us later in the program to talk more about this development, the Secret Service protection to both Trump and Dr. Carson. Again, that story reported over the weekend exclusively here at Newsmax.com. Now, Betsy just went to the nuts and bolts of the immigration question. Dick, do you agree with what she had to say? Was it wise for Donald Trump to raise the specter of 9/11 in any way, shape, fashion, or form?
Yeah, I think that was a fair shot and a reasonable one. Not just for the reasons Betsy articulated, which are certainly all true, but the 20th hijacker, Moussaoui, I think, was arrested by the INS at that time, the Immigration Service, and he was found, the FBI arrested him, I think, and turned him over to INS. He was taking flight lessons in Minneapolis, and he wasn't interested in taking off or landing, just in steering the plane. And when the only crime he was guilty of was being here illegally, as far as we knew. So the INS prosecuted him. But the Justice Department at that time had a rule, and still sort of does, saying that when someone's arrested for like an immigration crime, you cannot seize their laptop computer because it's not germane to the facts of the crime. And therefore, Moussaoui kept his laptop computer secret. And after he was convicted and after 9/11, we opened the damn thing, and we found the complete records of all 19 hijackers, all financial transfers to them, where they were, who they were, and the whole bit. And had we simply not had that wall of separation, which said that if you were arresting someone and did not have probable cause, you could not examine their computer.
Let me get back to, dare I say, the politics of this. We don't want to ignore policy, and we hear you both on that. But there is a new ad out from Jeb's team taking aim at Donald Trump on foreign policy and national security. Betsy, I'm going to play some of it and then get your reaction.
Who do you talk to for military advice right now?
Well, I watch the shows. I mean, I really see a lot of great, when you watch your show and all of the other shows.
So the ad runs a minute and 53 seconds with the kind of circus music playing throughout. Apparently the Bush team put this together a month ago. Does this, is this legitimate criticism? Will it help Jeb Bush, Betsy?
I don't think so. The fact is that Americans have again and again elected the Washington insiders who have a long list of overused consultants, and yet we still face these problems of illegal immigration, overstaying visas, hijackers flying planes into office towers on 9/11. So I'm quite confident that whichever of these candidates we choose, whichever one we choose, will take tougher stands than in the past to protect us. And I think it's ridiculous that Jeb Bush is ridiculing Donald Trump for that statement.
Dick, the simple question, we only got about a minute 15 left, but I have to ask this about Jeb. Is he proving tone deaf on the immigration question completely?
Yeah, I think he is. He's been that for a while, but it's ridiculous for him to be it's stupid for him to be attacking Trump. Trump is at 24 in the polls and he's at 7. And he was at 16 until Trump beat him down to 7, not by attacking him, but simply by being more effective than he was. And by trying to stake out that contrast of him against Trump, he's only going to push himself down further.
Let me ask you this before we go. The talk about Joe Biden. NBC News saying that the vice president's going to decide in the next 48 hours or so. Very quickly from you both. Will Joe run? Betsy, first to you, very quickly.
First of all, I cannot imagine what this girl-grabbing, gaffe-prone vice president will add to the race. It's already Hillary against 4 stooges. Now it's going to be 5.
What about it, Dick?
Oh, I don't agree with Betsy. I think that if Biden runs, he is most likely to win the nomination, not the election. And I think he will run because I think the dynamics of the race are such that Hillary is fading. Sanders, as we predicted after the debate, but CNN and Fox News all said no, has moved up smartly as a result of the debate. He's now up to 30% of the vote. And I think the Democratic Party is going to try to force Biden in to stop Sanders and to replace Hillary.
Well, we should find out shortly. We thank you very much. Betsy McCaughey in New York City, Dick Morris Skyping in from Connecticut tonight. Thanks for your time here on Newsmax Prime. Speaking of presidential politics, Newsmax TV host Ed Berliner sat down for a one-on-one interview with 2016 Republican hopeful Rand Paul and got the senator's thoughts on President Obama keeping troops in Afghanistan and America's needs to define its interest and to stop spending money we don't have on unnecessary military action.
There's always a war somewhere, and there's always some sympathy for those who are losing the war or on the wrong end of the war, but we just can't be in every war, and we don't have any money. We're having to borrow money from China to spend it in Afghanistan. So it's not a very conservative notion, nor is it a wise decision.
You can see more of Ed's one-on-one interview with Rand Paul tonight on the Hardline at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, exclusively on Newsmax TV. We'll be right back.